Over 25 years ago, Toyota introduced a new segment of vehicle to the world called the RAV4. Now, of course, back then it was designed to appeal to customers looking for a sport utility vehicle, but demanded a slightly smaller car that also got better gas mileage. Now, of course, fast forward 2.5 decades, and I'm standing by the refreshed 2022 RAV4, now in its 5th generation. This model has become Toyota's best-selling vehicle, with the company moving nearly 450,000 units in America back in 2019. So if you guys are looking for a compact crossover, has Toyota made enough changes to the 2022 model to make this vehicle still a top consideration? Stay tuned to find out. Hey guys, I want to interrupt this video to give you a brief special announcement. You know, I'm always sitting in and reviewing new cars. However, today I want to tell you about this amazing opportunity to win a classic Porsche. Not just any classic Porsche, I'm talking about the one that preceded the Porsche 911, a 1958 Porsche 356. And not just any 356A, this was custom built by the world-renowned team at Tuthill Porsche. Now, of course, it has all the usual componentry from this era of Porsche, a 1.6-liter naturally aspirated, air-cooled, flat 4-cylinder engine paired up with a 4-speed manual transmission. The world-renowned team at Tuthill Porsche has even given it some upgrades, such as an AVO adjustable performance racing suspension, 4-wheel disc brakes, 15-inch wheels, and a sport exhaust. The car itself is even finished in a beautiful classic silver metallic, paired up, of course, with a beautiful red leather interior. All you have to do to enter for a chance to win is go to omaze.com/Redline Reviews, where you can support a great cause like Valkyrie Gives. Valkyrie Gives was formed to aid women and children at risk, with a special focus on ending the injustices of child trafficking. Through partnerships with projects and organizations worldwide, Valkyrie Gives works to raise awareness and resources to fight child trafficking around the world. So what are you waiting for, guys? In order to support this great cause and win this amazing classic 1958 Porsche 356, please be sure to go to omaze.com/Redline Reviews. And now, let's get back to the video. Now, because the compact crossover segment is one of the hottest markets to play in, Toyota knows that they have to keep the RAV4 fresh in order to appeal to new shoppers that are constantly looking for a vehicle in this segment. It essentially has replaced the mid-size family sedan as the most popular vehicle here in America. And the Toyota RAV4, this generation, when it came out in 2019, already had a ton of strengths, so a bunch of changes wasn't necessarily needed for the 2022 version. But of course, as the market continues to change, Toyota has to make options available on the RAV4 to kind of, again, keep it fresh with a lot of consumers. This particular one here that I'm showing you is a new color option called Cavalry Blue. We've actually seen this blue on other Toyota products, specifically the Toyota Tacoma and a few of their other trucks. It's a really handsome looking color. This particular one here that I'm showing you is the XSE hybrid model. The hybrid is one of the most popular options. Toyota continues to offer like 4 different powertrain configurations, or 3 different powertrain configurations. This one here is smack in the middle. Now, the first thing you're going to notice with the 2022 model are the new headlights. All RAV4s come standard with full LED headlights, but you can see Toyota has updated the look of the headlights with a new LED daytime running light. You have LED turn signals now, you have LED low and high beams. This is essentially technically the upgraded headlight, I believe. And then now the XSE models have the same front bumper as the Prime. Toyota introduced this front bumper a couple of years ago when they first introduced the Prime. It now has these vertical running LED daytime running lights that match the ones in the headlights. You lose the fog lights, but you can see here with the new gloss black accents, this Cavalry Blue paint. This is a really attractive looking SUV that continues to be the right sized vehicle for a lot of consumers. Now, of course, moving around the side, this is just a refresh, so Toyota didn't change the overall silhouette or the dimensions. This vehicle is around 106-inch long wheelbase, around 181 inches in overall length. Compared to the original RAV4 introduced back in 1996, this is about 20 inches longer, so it's amazing to see how much bigger the new version, or the current generation, has become. You can see there are new wheel options available. This XSE version has this new black finished wheel. They're an 18-inch wheel wrapped in 225/60 width tires. These wheels actually remind me a lot of the 19-inch wheels you find on the RAV4 Prime, which again, you can still get those wheels on the Prime. All RAV4s have these fender flares. The gloss black painted one on the XSE definitely makes it look a little bit more sporty. The XSE is again going to be billed as the sportier option. You get roughly 8.4 inches of ground clearance when you guys go for the hybrid model like this. The black contrasting roof, Toyota introduced that a couple of years ago. It looks really good with the Cavalry blue paint. My tester has an optional panoramic sunroof along with these black painted mirrors with the integrated turn signals. And really, a lot of people like the miniature 4Runner look that Toyota introduced when they introduced this redesigned RAV4. It's really been doing well on the marketplace. This is the best-selling compact crossover that you can find today in America. Now at the rear, you can see not very many other changes. You still have the same design to the LED taillights, no full LED turn signal like you get in the front. You still have this silver painted bar that goes and connects the two taillight modules together. And then of course you have an XSE hybrid badge. Toyota also offers a black badge if you guys want from a dealer accessory. And then the rear bumper looks like it hasn't changed. You still got those dual chrome exhaust tips. Now the beauty about the hybrid is the fact that you don't have to make any compromises to the cargo area. This is still one of the most spacious that you'll find in the segment because the battery pack doesn't intrude into the actual floor space. You get around 35 cubic feet of space with the seats up. Fold down the second row seats, it expands that to around 72 cubic feet of space, which is great. Underneath here, you can see there is a temporary spare tire, and it also gives you a jack and whatnot. And RAV4s aren't available with a third row seat, but remember, this continues to be one of the most practical vehicles and the right size vehicles for a lot of American families. So now let's move on to the interior of the 2022 RAV4. You can see here's the current key fob for the vehicle. It has not changed. This is still Toyota's smart key access system, of course. They do have an updated version of their Toyota Connected Services app, although this doesn't have the newest tech like the digital key function you can find on some of the newer Toyotas. Now, of course, opening the door and looking at the interior, you can see this XSE version has their Softex interior with the 10-way power driver's seat with a 2-person memory. These seats, however, are just heated. I don't believe you can get cooled seats on the hybrid. You can on the RAV4 Prime and on the Limited, but the XSE version, I'm not entirely sure if it offers the cooled seats. I know Toyota offered it on the Adventure and perhaps even the TRD off-road version. I do like the contrasting blue stitching with this interesting perforation here in the center. These seats roughly have not changed. You still have the same soft touch material here with the genuine stitching on the door panels, soft touch right here. And then a lot of the window control switches you can see here, they haven't changed, although Toyota finally added a backlit functionality. So at night, these are now completely lit up, and Toyota improved the nighttime driving visibility basically by adding some of those features that they should have honestly had before they refreshed this car. Now, of course, with around 8.5 inches of ground clearance, the step-in height is pretty easy with the RAV4. It's one of the reasons why people love these so much. And then when you shut the door has a relatively solid sounding thunk. This one here is a pretty well optioned XSE hybrid. Now to start it up, you can see the button hasn't moved. It's still right here behind the steering wheel, although it kind of is blocked by the steering wheel when you guys are sitting in the driver's seat. And then you can see here, the XSE version has the same gauge display as what you find on the RAV4 Prime, which I'm going to constantly be referencing it because it is the top end of the hierarchy for the RAV4's trim structure. You can see it's got like a 7-inch helper screen here, traditional analog dial over there, and then over here you have a traditional fuel gauge and a temp display. The Prime will essentially replace the temp display here with a battery percentage for the 18.1 kilowatt hour battery pack. The rest of the dash here hasn't really changed. You can see the materials are solid. This is a soft touch injection molded plastic here, more soft touch here with a faux stitching on this part of the dash. Hard touch plastic over here with a little bit of a storage shelf. You have dual zone climate control with the same chunky knobs, which is good for if you guys like have gloves on and you're trying to adjust the climate. You can see 2-level heated seats here. You can get cooled seats on some of the upper end trims. This one here does not have it. And then down here you can see there's a wireless phone charging pad. You still have to plug in your phone to actually access the Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. This does not have the wireless function. Toyota did upgrade the infotainment system to a 9-inch display on the upper ends before. 8 inches was the largest, 7 inches is the smallest display, which again, this bezel practically doesn't move. It stays right here with the tablet style orientation, and this is the old Toyota system that they don't even call Entune anymore. It doesn't include wireless over-the-air updates, but you can see here it is pretty basic looking, but it's also relatively easy to use, and it comes with embedded factory GPS. If you guys must use that, you can see there's the GPS. It's terrible, the quality is awful, and then if you push a little button over here to the side, you can see there's a heated steering wheel, power liftgate, heated windshield, whatnot. Push that button, you can see it gives you a 360 perimeter scan, which has pretty crummy graphics. It really would have been nice if Toyota gave us the new infotainment system in the 2022 version, but this one here is relatively easy to use, and for those of you who don't who are familiar with it, you're going to basically feel right at home when you get into this system. It's perfectly capable, just a little bit dated. The gear selector hasn't really changed. This controls the eCVT with the hybrid version. You can see, put it in reverse there, it gives you the full 360 camera with the same crappy graphics and resolution. There's a drive mode selector over here. You twist it to the left, it goes to eco, it turns green. Push it in, it goes to normal. Twist it to the right, it goes to sport. The plug-in hybrid prime will give you a few other options here for EV and hybrid modes. There is an EV mode here, which will allow you to drive at very low speeds with light throttle and electric only when the battery has enough charge. There's no need to plug this one in. It'll recharge whenever the gas engine turns on. Over here, you can see cup holders haven't really changed. Nice padded area right here. This hasn't changed. You now have 2 USB-C charging ports in there. They are lit up, which is great. And then there's a standard USB-A charging port over there. The seats continue to be pretty comfortable and supportive. I like the color of these, but I wish Toyota offered the cooled seat on the XSE. I'm not entirely sure if they will for 2022. And then the glove compartment, this is also where Toyota gave it a little bit of love. You can see there's now a lockable function here for the glove compartment. When you open it up, it's still a bin style. It's damped, but it's not lined with felt. And then above me here, you can see Toyota also added LED lighting into the cabin. So there's LED lighting back here in the front, which is nice. You have a panoramic roof, which is available on the higher trims. And then there's a woven materials here on the roof. And then you can see here on upper trims, you can also get Toyota's digital rear view mirror, which is a really nice tech feature. And then my tester here is missing the heads up display that you can get on the upper end trims of the limited and of course the prime version. So overall, the interior hasn't changed too much. Toyota added a couple of nice touches here to, address some of the complaints that owners had, but this is still one of the nicer cabins in the business, offers good space, good visibility, and great tech for the money. Hey guys, I want to take a quick break to thank you all for watching this video and talk about a bunch of new merch that we just added. It's all about the thunk. If you're interested in showing your support by purchasing this shirt, as well as a few others, be sure to visit the merch shelf located just below this video. Now, speaking of support, be sure to like, subscribe, and be sure to turn on all those notification bells so you're always alerted every time we make a new upload. Taking a look at the rear seat of the 2022 RAV4, you can see it also hasn't really changed much. You still get right around 37.5 inches of legroom back here. The seats also still give you the ability to recline them slightly, and you can also fold them down, but you can't actually slide the seat forward and back. But regardless, it's still a pretty nice place to spend time. Not the largest rear seat in this segment, however. Materials, you can see they carried over with the soft touch materials. The same window switch controls, which are now lit up as well in the back, which is great. And then when you get back here, you can see it's really easy to get in and out of this vehicle. As I get in and shut the door has the same similar solid sounding thunk. And then this XSE version gives you one pocket here, a storage pocket on the passenger side. There are rear seat air vents, and then you have 2 USB-C charging ports down here. No heated rear seats on this trim, however, which would have been nice to find, but you can see here Toyota also added more LED lighting here to the back, so they didn't skimp out and just give it to the front. And then you can see here there's an armrest that folds down that gives you 2 cup holders. So overall, the back seat hasn't really changed much. It's still relatively roomy, but just note some competitors do offer more interior space in the second row. Now, Toyota did make some changes to the exterior and the interior of the 2022 RAV4. However, underneath the hood, it is all carryover, and I'm not entirely sure that changes were necessary. The RAV4 already had one of the most diverse engine lineups in the segment. Now you can see under the hood of this particular one, this is the XSE hybrid, so it smacks in the middle between all the powertrain options. It marries a 2.5 liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder that runs on the Atkinson cycle that makes around 176 horsepower on its own. It's paired up with 3 electric motors, of course, with a very small, like 1.5 kilowatt hour lithium ion battery pack. Combined output is 219 horsepower, while Toyota does not rate the torque. This is more power than what you get from just the base 2.5, but of course, if you want more power, the RAV4 Prime is still available with the same updates that gives you basically an 18 kilowatt hour battery pack that also ups the power by 83 through 302 horsepower. Now, fuel economy, of course, is the best part about the hybrid. It's rated to get around 40 mpg for most models, which again is tops in the segment. And you can tow a maximum of around 1,500 pounds with the hybrid. This vehicle, as it sits, weighs in at just under 4,000 pounds. The Prime will be roughly 300 to 400 pounds heavier. So with such little changes that Toyota has made, I don't anticipate the driving dynamics of the RAV4 to change this year, and it didn't really need to. The RAV4 continues to be a pretty competent car, and I'm going to spend my time driving the hybrid version because the hybrid is the one that most people are, of course, are going to get their hands on. It's a really well-rounded vehicle if you primarily drive around town, or if you also drive on longer road trips. It offers plenty of power, plenty of acceleration, and it also has a really good ride quality that's wrapped in a package that is so easily maneuverable. Now, of course, with 219 horsepower, almost 220, I have it in sport mode here. If I put my foot down, the CVT is quickly adjusting the ratios, and the gas engine allows the gas engine to speed up. This one here does have the ability to coast around on electric only at lower speeds, but as soon as you demand more than like a quarter throttle, it turns the gas engine on, because remember, you didn't get the Prime that has the full 18.1 kilowatt-hour battery pack. So I'd recommend that if you guys want the full EV experience. But regardless, this is going to help you get significantly better gas mileage, and it is quicker versus the standard 2.5. I've driven the 2.5 a few times, not really happy with the base engine. The base engine, I think, is just too sluggish, it's too buzzy, and it's really unrefined for a Toyota 4-cylinder. This engine still makes a little bit in terms of unrefined noises, but the fact that you've got the electrification helping it out here. Remember, these are 3 electric motors. The rear axle is not directly connected to the motor. It's powered by a separate 53 horsepower all-electric motor. And then when I come to a stop here, you can see the gas engine is off. It feels like I'm driving a full EV, which is kind of nice. There's also an EV mode here, which right now it's going to allow me to actually put it in EV mode because it's saying the battery has just enough charge to allow me to do that. If I cycle through these modes here, it'll show me there's about 3/4 charge in the battery, and it tells me exactly which of the propulsion sources that I'm using. And then really, as we're sitting here waiting for this light to change, the visibility in this vehicle is still really great. The hood has these nice bulges in it with the cut lines. This pillar here is pretty thin. You have big side mirrors, and then you have Toyota's Safety Sense 2.5, which is standard on this vehicle, standard on all versions of the RAV. My tester here has an optional rear cross-traffic braking, and it has also the full 360 camera, and I also love this digital rear view mirror. If you don't like that, you can kind of flip it this way. It goes back to traditional mirror, but I imagine most of you, once you get used to that, it's a great way that you can spy on people too. I've seen so many people just sitting there at traffic lights picking their nose, and they think that nobody can see them, but that's an interesting way to get some laughs here as you're sitting in this vehicle. I also like the seating position. It's nice and elevated so I can see really well, and then as the light turns green here, I put my foot down, and it beeps at me to tell me that the gas engine must turn on because it just doesn't have enough power. It says accelerator pressed too far, but as soon as I put my foot down here, Toyota says the hybrid version will get to 60 in about 7.3 seconds, which I believe it. I'll have to retest this vehicle when I have it back home for a week. But it offers plenty of power. You just kind of have to get used to the buzzy engine, which isn't the most pleasant thing, which is why I love my RAV4 Prime. That does a really good job, of course, of just keeping it in all-electric mode when the battery is charged, so you feel like you're driving an actual electric vehicle as opposed to these noisy hybrids. Toyota's hybrid system has gotten a lot better, though, and their current generation is some of the best in the industry with how smooth it is, how responsive the CVT is, how good a gas mileage is. I've only been driving this car for like the last 12 miles, and it's been averaging around 30 mpg. Of course, that's with journalists with their lead foots. I'm going to retest this once I have this back home for a week, and it should be getting closer to that 40 mpg. On a full tank, this will do almost 500 miles of cruising range. So again, way better than any electric vehicle, all electric vehicle. Toyota has, of course, their RAV4 that is coming out next year that roughly has 250 miles of range. So this car could theoretically go double the mileage, which is why Toyota sells well over 400,000 of these. It's just a fantastic all-around vehicle. Now, as we go around a couple of these corners here, the RAV4 has steering that is not very quick, but it is precise. The body also feels pretty soft. There's plenty of body lean. I mean, the XSE has a sport-tuned suspension, but this is sport-tuned for Toyota. It's nothing super, super aggressive. As I come to a stop here and put my foot down, the XSE hybrid doesn't have enough power to chirp the front tires like the Prime will. The Prime will actually roast its front tires and have slight wheel hop, which is hilarious. This one has just enough power, so this is enough. So if you guys are looking for a Prime, but you can't seem to find one, the hybrid is a good option, and you can also pick these up a lot easier versus the Prime. So overall, very impressed with the way the RAV4 continues to drive. One of my favorite crossovers in the segment because it's just so well-rounded. It is slightly boring, but that's kind of the Toyota way. It's going to be a little bit boring, but it's also, it feels like something that's going to last for 10 plus years. And if that's you, if you're the kind of person that buys a new car and keeps it for at least 10 years, this is the one that you still want to take a look at. So of course, the current generation RAV4 continues to be a lovable, right-sized crossover for many Americans, and after spending some time with the 2022 version, this is still very much the case. I like some of the changes that Toyota has made, specifically the new headlights, the updated wheels, the interior that has a couple of additional features, although they are pretty small. Toyota essentially just wanted to listen to all of the complaints of the pre-refresh model and address them here in the 2022 version, and one of those main complaints was, of course, adding a lower-priced SE hybrid version, which should, again, appeal to those more price conscientious buyers. Now, of course, the RAV4 is not perfect. The interior still isn't the most luxurious. It's not the most roomy, but it is one of the most well-rounded. It gives you genuine off-road capability. It gives you genuine space on the backseat. It gives you plenty of technology features like a pano sunroof, a 360-degree camera, a heads-up display, and heated and cooled seats. And it all wraps it, of course, in a price that is very, very broad. So for those of you who want to spend roughly $26,000, you can go for the base version, or you can spend up to $50,000 if you guys go for the Prime, which still continues to qualify for the $7,500 tax credit as long as you guys can actually find one of those vehicles at a Toyota dealership. Now, of course, I don't have final pricing just yet as of this video. I'll update that as Toyota releases that. This 2022 model isn't even on sale right now as of this filming. They are heading to dealerships at the end of, or the middle to end of December. Of course, with the chip shortage and COVID and whatnot, Toyota has been forced to kind of slow down production as they're trying to get the necessary parts. So I will update pricing whenever I have this. Currently, the 2021 RAV4 Hybrid roughly starts at around $29,000. This one here is probably around $42,000. I'm going to estimate it's going to stay right around the same price tag. And really, it's a great price to pay if you guys are looking for a compact crossover SUV that gets 40 miles to the gallon, that has really good acceleration, that's just a really easy car to live with on a daily basis. But with all that said, I hope you guys have enjoyed my full overview on the 2022 Toyota RAV4 XSE Hybrid. If you're also looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, be sure to follow me on Instagram at Redline_reviews, like us on Facebook, and as always, guys, please keep subscribing to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video.